everybody, it is another new week and we are going to get started on the Armour today. I am going to be using a kit that I got off Etsy. I will be linking that down below. I opted for the kit because there are details like this. Like you see, I can't get that myself. These really fine micro details or like, you know, it's kind of one of those things that you can only get with like a laser cutter. And like, sure, I probably maybe could have painted something on or like melted stuff into the foam, but like, look how detailed this is. Like that's a level of detail that I cannot get on my own, which is why I did opt for the kit option. So anyways, that's what I'm doing today. What I'm gonna start on today. I do have to put all of this together. I'll show you all the pieces in a second because this is gonna be a task. But I think it's gonna be fun. I don't typically work with foam. I'm not a prop maker. I am a costumer. My specialty is fabric and sewing and thread and such. So this is gonna be kind of new for me. I at least hope that my struggling can help someone else in their learning process. So my outfit is extra terrible today because I'm going to be working with a lot of spray paint and glue and etc., those types of things. So wear something you don't mind possibly ruining. I'm going to try not to, but you know, we'll see. So yeah, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get into this. I think the first step is going to be to lay out the pieces and see where everything goes. And then I'm going to use a heat gun to shape them. That's the first step. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on that, and I will see y'all in a sec. Bye. Okay, so here I have everything laid out. These are all the pieces. As you can see, a lot of them are really tiny and I'm gonna have to figure out how to put everything together. Luckily, the seller on Etsy has a tutorial, so I'm gonna do my best to use that as a reference, hopefully. But y'all can also see how I put it together. I don't know if I'm gonna do anything different. Again, I'm not a prop maker, I don't know. But yeah, here's everything laid out. These are all the foam pieces we have, and the seller also sent me these 3D printed little thingies for the elbows. They go in the little circles there. Other things you're going to need: a heat gun for shaping the foam, some brushes you don't mind destroying because we're going to be using them with our contact cement over here. It's very strong glue. A Dremel or off-brand rotary sander for sanding down edges, but we will get to this later. And a multitude of spray paints and sealants. Yeah, and that's everything I have for right now. So my first thought process, I think, is going to start with the main arm piece because I know what that's supposed to look like. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take these pieces, they go on top like this, like so. And what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna take all these pieces, I'm gonna take the heat gun and I'm going to shape it to my arm like this, if that makes sense. I'll do my best to film this stuff, but you know, I am gonna be working with hot tools, so we'll see. But that is step one for me, I believe. Hi guys, so I don't have like a cool fancy work table to do this on, so I'm just on my living room floor. Do I recommend you do it this way? No, absolutely not, but you gotta deal with what you got, so here we are. Anyways, here's the heat gun I'm using. I just got this on Amazon. It's a mini one. I didn't want to spend a whole bunch of money on it because I don't know how often I'm going to be using it, but if you have heat protectant gloves, I recommend you use those. I don't, so I'm just going to be winging it, but like, don't injure yourself, is what I'm trying to get at. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Okay, so here are the heat-shaped results. As you can see, they have a slight curve now, which is exactly what I wanted. So far, so good. As you can see, let me see if I can get you a nice... Yeah, there we go. You can see they curve here. They just stack together nicely now. Like so. And there it is. There you have it. You can see the curve. Very nice. It's a lot thicker than I thought it would be, but you know, it's Armour. She's taking swords to the arm, so you know. Wow, look at that. I don't work with foam often, so this is really impressive to me, so. I'm gonna go test the contact cement with some foam I have lying around because I've never used it before. And I wanna make sure I'm doing it right. So I'm gonna do a test run real quick and then I'm gonna glue these down, so I'll be back. Disclaimer, if you are using contact cement, you should be doing it outside or at least in a well-ventilated area. I, however, live in Texas and it was the dead heat of summer, so it was too hot for me to be outside or in a garage at the time. So I did it indoors. If you must do it like I do, please open a window, turn on a fan, please have some ventilation, wear a mask, and some eyeglasses. Be safe, everyone. Thank you. You're gonna have two pieces that you want to connect, right? You need to put the contact cement on this side and this side because they're gonna bond together, contact cement to contact cement, you know? So you're gonna paint it on, you're gonna wait for it to dry a little bit and get tacky, and that's when you're gonna put it on. To my knowledge. Let me go ahead and gear up, hold on. Guys, there's a brush on the inside. I think there was gonna be a brush on the inside, but that's pretty cool. Okay, so I did successfully glue these down, and yes, you do need contact cement on both sides because the side that I glued down that didn't have contact cement on the base is not sticking, but the side that had both are, girl, it's on there. That ain't coming off. So yeah, okay, learning. I'm sure some of the people who have already made props with contact cement are like, this idiot, but I've never used it before and this is actually pretty interesting. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and I think I'm gonna glue these together, question mark. Also, I highly recommend you do this in a better, well-ventilated area. Please open a window. I'm doing this on my living room on some newspaper. I don't recommend this, but you gotta do what you gotta do. So here we are. Anyways, do better, kids. Please do better. Okay, so before I start, I'm just gonna line these up one more time just to make sure I know what I'm doing. So we have the base, right? And we have the biggest piece. The biggest piece, the edges need to line up. So it doesn't need to be like that, it needs to be like this. Oh, it's hard to see on camera. I'm sorry, guys. Does that make sense? These need to be lined up. And then from there on out, these are going to come down slightly. There's gonna be a gap at the front, but then these edges are gonna line up. So basically just line all the edges up at the end and you should be fine. If you're using this pattern, I guess. And yeah, same thing here. Yeah, just line the end pieces up and it should be good to go. Okay, perfect. That's what I needed to know. Let's get to it. Okay, so before I put the contact cement on, I'm gonna mark where it needs to go on here with a white pencil. Just so I don't over glue it, you know, so really hard to film. I'm sorry, guys. As you can see, I don't even know if you can see, but there's slight lines. Oh my God, focus. Hello? Really basic, really simple, but just, you know, just as a guideline, it helps. All right, it's time to gear up once more, and I'll tilt this down so maybe you can kind of see more of the process. She's gluing and painting, and it took a long time because she had to wait between each coat for it to dry. Yay! Guys, we got the first part done. Look at it. Oh my God, focus. See that? Isn't that cool? And it maintained the curve. I will say that putting the glue on some of the thinner pieces of foam, I think kind of started to flatten the foam out a little bit. I don't know, I feel like there's some sort of chemical reaction happening there that's making the foam a little bit more malleable once you put the glue on. But yeah, if you just hold it in the right shape while it dries, like it's not a problem. Look at that. Isn't that cool? Well, okay, so there we go. We have the main arm piece. And this thing is sturdy. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I think I'm going to do basically all the exact same steps, but with these pieces here. And these pieces go right on top like this, as so. I'm gonna have to curve these again with the heat tool. So I'm probably gonna switch to my other camera so I can give you guys a better look at what it is exactly that I'm doing. While I am using the heat gun again, I am going to move all the contact cement stuff away from me because it is flammable, so please be careful. Okay, so as you can see, we have our arm piece here. She's looking good. I'm super excited. Not bad, not bad. It is a little crooked in some places, but that's just user error. It's fine. I don't think you can tell, especially when it's gonna be on and you're gonna be moving around. Like, you'll be fine. She'll be fine. Anyways, next we have these pieces here. And we have this thicker piece which goes at the bottom, and then this one which has the little bolts detail goes on top here, and then we have one more piece that goes on here. And I think I'm gonna add some fake metal pieces to this when it's all said and done, but we're gonna have to finish it first before we get there. And then this piece goes right in between here, and it fits between these little circles. And all of this together goes like this on here, so it needs to be curved. It's just super hard with one hand. Kind of like that, you get the idea? So basically what I gotta do is I gotta heat shape all of these one more time, do the same thing with the contact cement, etc., etc. I think y'all are getting the idea at this point. So yeah. Also, I don't know if these pieces are supposed to go on there. I don't know what these are. For the life of me, I cannot figure it out. Somebody please tell me. I've looked at the picture, I watched the tutorial on the seller's page, and I do not know what these pieces are. I am so confused. What are they? Please help. If somebody knows, please tell me, because I don't know where to put them. Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and get started on heat shaping these. All right, here is our next finished piece, guys. Again, very solid, very sturdy, I will say. The foam does add up. So now what we're gonna do is we are going to put this right on here. Contact cement right on the edges there. Okay, so before I glue this on, I am actually going to sand down these edges because they are a little uneven, if you can see. I already did this side, I didn't film it, sorry. But just kind of smoothed it out, I guess, made it more even. It's kind of, I mean, it's not pretty, but once we put plastic dip and spray paint over it, you won't see. But it does kind of make it just a little more flush with putting the pieces together, if that makes sense. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this. BRB. Okay guys, so we have an arm piece. Look at it. Isn't it cool, guys? Look, and it fits my arm perfectly. What do we think? Yes? Yay or nay? I like it. I'm into it. Does it look too short? I think it's good. What do we think? So yeah, here's the work so far. It is all nice and glued down. This thing is thick. It is sturdy. A lot sturdier than I thought foam would be. But yeah, it's looking pretty good. Next, I'm going to do the elbow pieces. And I am gonna have to, once again, bring the heat gun out, but we're gonna do it a little different this time. So let's go do that. Okay, so next we are going to do the elbow pieces. And these ones are a little trickier because they have to be rounded, you know, like a spear. This, and they need to like curve like that, as so it makes a curve, kind of, if you can see. And then these pieces right here are gonna do the exact same thing. They're gonna come together like this, curve, pieces connected like this together, right? I know that's really hard to see because I'm like manhandling these things, but do you get the image? Do you get the vision? Yeah, so to do that, I'm going to be using this styrofoam sphere because that is what the maker of this kit did in their tutorial. So basically, you heat up the foam, you put it on here, and you shape it around the sphere. I think I got a sphere that was a little too big. I probably should have sized down, but you know what, it's fine, we'll make it work. Also, do not put the heat gun directly on the styrofoam? Do not put the heat gun directly on the styrofoam ball because it will melt. Do not do that. I'm gonna go ahead and start heating up that heat gun again. Okay, so here are our pieces. I think they seem to be curved enough. No, not the styrofoam ball rolling around in the back. Oh, get out of here. I don't know. I feel like these are gonna be okay. Right? These look okay. That looks curvy. Like an elbow could fit in there. I think so. I think it'll be okay. I think it's gonna be fine. Yeah. Yeah. What could go wrong? Am I right, ladies and gentlemen? Okay, so basically now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to glue them together like this, like that, with the contact cement. Same thing with these, just on the little points here. glue them together like that, and then this is gonna lay on top of this like so. Yes, so I'm gonna break out the contact cement again and get to business. Okay, so when you're actually putting these pieces together with the contact cement, you have to kind of curve it as you're putting it together, or else it's not gonna lay the way you want it to lay. So here you can kind of see me attempting that. Yeah, it's not too difficult, you just gotta be really careful when you're doing it. And here's kind of what the curve looks like when it's all said and done. I don't think it's looking too shabby. And at this point I also decided to sand down the seam just a little bit so it's a little more seamless, I guess. Yeah, anyways, just a little detail. Okay, so here's this piece. I know it looks a little wonky right now, but we're gonna fix it, don't worry. So the person who made this kit in their tutorial, they use an X-Acto knife and go around the edges of these circles to kind of give it like a bevel. So it's kind of like just taking this little edge off here. So I might go ahead and do that. I don't know. Because once I commit, I have to do them all, you know? I'm gonna do it. I think it's gonna look cool. I'm gonna do it. Okay, so I'll be back. Okay, so once it's kind of cut, it's gonna look a little wonky, which is when we're gonna bring out the sander again, and we're just gonna go back in and smooth it all down and give it a nice bevel. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Okay, so I went ahead and did the rest of the circles, and the last step to that was going back over it with the heat gun. As you can see, the sander got the best of me a couple times, and I messed up a little bit, but it's fine. Yeah, it's texture, that's character, you know? But basically, adding the heat gun over it again just kind of reseals the foam. See, it kind of cleans up those edges a little bit, even though they're still a little raw, but it's gonna be okay, because we're gonna paint it and go over it and all that kind of stuff. So, next is, if you have something to fill in the gaps here, use that. I know you can use foam clay. There's a ton of other stuff you can use too, so I would look into it. I don't have any of that, so I might just leave it. I don't know, I'll have to figure it out, but for now, I'm gonna go ahead and glue this piece onto the main elbow piece. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Okay guys, so here are our pieces so far. We have the arm piece and we have the elbow piece done. Look at them! I think they're turning out pretty good. Of course, the gap is a little awkward, but like, once you put the red little thingies in, like, you're not going to see the one underneath, and this is not big enough for me to, like, you know, cause a fuss over. And I feel like, so I think it's gonna look pretty good. I'm super excited. At this point in time, this is where I would say if you want to add any cool like scratches or texture into your foam pieces, now would be the time. So I might go ahead and do that. I think I'm gonna call it a night for now. But basically tomorrow, I think I'm going to take a soldering iron and just cut some little scratches so it looks like she's been in a fight, you know? Because after that, we are going to plasti dip and seal it and then paint it. So yeah, we're getting into it. Oh, and I also have this arm piece that I'll do, but we'll get to that.
So apparently I didn't film myself making that last arm piece, but it's just a curved piece. So, yeah. The next day.
Okay, so it's the next day, and I have the pieces out here. They're still looking okay. It looks like it cured just fine. I think I want to add some scratches on here with a soldering iron. I've never done this before. Well, okay, I kind of tested it on this foam. As you can see, I wrote hello. Yeah, I was just seeing how well it worked. I'm gonna give it a go. Hopefully it doesn't absolutely ruin this. I'm gonna cry if it does, but yeah, this is just heating up right now, and I'm gonna go ahead and try to do some scratches on here. I think I'm gonna start with this arm piece first, because that seems the least important out of all of them, so yeah. Okay, so here they are, all scratched up. I think this piece looks pretty good. I tried to hide some of the seam with the scratch. I don't know how well that worked, but we'll see. I tried to make it look like if it were actually hit with like a sword, so it kind of goes off the edges here. Yeah, I think it looks pretty cool. This one turned out also pretty good. I'm into it. This one, I kind of messed up here. It's okay. It looks rugged, right? It looks real, right? Right? I also cut a little notch in one of the plastic knobs that I got with it. So once I put it in here, it's gonna look like it kind of, you know, went all the way across. I thought that looked pretty cool. I don't know. Maybe not. I like it. I like it. Okay, so actually I was staring at my little mess up on here where the cut is a little too deep, and I was thinking about it for a really long time, so I actually just went out to Lowe's and I got some sealant to fill in the gap, so hopefully it will fix my minor mistake. I don't think it'll be too bad if it's not fixed, but you know, I'll give it a go. This is what the internet told me to use to fill in foam. I couldn't find any foam clay, and I think this is too small for foam clay filling anyways. But yeah, so I'm gonna try this. I've never used it before, but we're gonna see how it goes. I also went to my local art supply store and I got some like pastes and powders and whatnot to see if I can do some testing on finishing like the paint. I did a paint test with the black. This is the Plastidip and this is the spray paint. I know you can't tell because they're both black, but that's what's gonna go on. I'm gonna see what the powder looks like over the paint. See what the paste looks over the paint as well. And also I found these, this was totally by accident, but I found these cool like rivets at the art store, and I think they're gonna be perfect to go on like the corners and stuff here, which was like a really good find, and I'm super excited for this. Anyways, this was just a bonus. So anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started on testing things. So BRB. Okay, so I filled in this little spot. I think it's gonna turn out okay. It looks pretty good. It does need some time to dry, but basically all I did was I put some of the sealant on it, and then I rubbed it in, and then I got my finger a little wet with this bowl of water, and then I just rubbed it out so it wasn't like as thick, you know? So anyways, yeah, I have to let this dry now, so I think I'm gonna maybe test some of this stuff. Yeah, okay. I think it'll be fun. Really messy, but fun. Okay, so I'm just gonna be experimenting with a bunch of stuff on this tester foam that I did. I have some Distress Crackle paint. I don't think I'm gonna use this because I need it to be flexible. Some grit paste, some Perfect Pearls powder, an acrylic medium, some graphite powder. I know people use this to get a metallic finish, so we'll see. We'll see. I suggest, especially with the powders, you do this outside. I'm not, but do better. Also, again, wear a mask, eye protection, etc. Don't breathe this stuff in. It is not good for you. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get started. So we'll see how it goes.
It was at this point that I was kind of just playing around with stuff. I didn't really know what was going to get me the result I wanted, but I think in the end I just used a little bit of the graphite powder. I think the paints and pastes were just a little too much for this specific project. Also at this time I did sand down these little red knobs because I believe the seller 3D printed them. I just wanted to smooth them out and help the paint stick.
Anyways, all that testing and all the sealant has to dry, so I'm gonna go ahead and Plastidip everything that I can. And what this is gonna do is it's gonna kind of seal everything. You know, foam has all those like micro pores in it, so you have to heat seal it to close the pores, and then you wanna put this on it to seal it, and then it's also gonna keep its flexibility, that sort of thing. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna do the pieces that I can right now. You definitely want to do this step before you spray paint it, so keep that in mind. I'm going to go ahead and start now because I'm going to have to do like 2 layers of Plastidip and then 2 layers of spray paint, and then, which is going to take multiple days. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on what I can. And remember, don't forget your eye protection or your mask.
Okay, so this is just me spray painting stuff. This is a Plastidip. I feel like this part's pretty self-explanatory, but for the Plastidip specifically, if you've never used it, spray it once all over, let it dry, spray it again. You might have to do 2, 3, maybe 4 coats. Kind of depends on the type of foam you're working with, how porous it is, the type of project you're working on, etc. And also, don't forget, if you're doing one side, finish it, all the coats, and then also flip it over and do the other side. So you can see why this process takes a little bit of time. Also at this point, I decided to go ahead and paint the little red knob parts because those don't have to be plastic dipped because they're already plastic. I was using a red metallic paint that I just picked up at the home store. And these did take a few coats just to get them all completely surrounded because they were a little hard to color. I suggest taping them down on the backside on the newspaper just so they don't fly away because they will fly away. So yeah, there's that. Okay, so now I'm just waiting on everything to dry. I did 3 or 4 coats of Plastidip on these pieces here, as well as the finger pieces and the hand stuff right here. I did not Plastidip the plastic pieces because they're already plastic, so they're fine. And this over here is still drying with the sealant in it, so yeah. Now it's just a waiting game. Okay, so I ended up calling it a night the other night after the first couple layers of Plastidip on these pieces. So these are done and they are ready to be spray painted, but look at this. Isn't that cool? Anyways, yeah, really cool. Love this stuff. Here's what this piece looks like. For these pieces, I'm gonna go ahead and put the spray paint on. I am using this. It says it has like a hammered finished, like a hammered texture, like as if you had hammered the metal down, if that makes sense. So I'm hoping it'll look pretty cool. This piece I still have to Plastidip, so that's gonna be a process, but we'll get to that. These I already went ahead and painted red. I didn't Plastidip them because they're already plastic, so you know. And these bad boys I am going to go ahead and paint silver. So they are good to go. I'm so excited. Okay. Back to spray painting. It doesn't look a whole lot different because I was spray painting black paint on black foam, but I think it does add a nice little metallic quality to it, yeah? I vibe. This piece is now gonna come with me and I'm going to paint on some details to make it look a little more rugged, a little more worn in, a little more real. Now it's time for our red spray paint. This is the one I'm using. So basically, this top, the very, very top piece needs to be red, and the very, very top piece of this need to be red. And so what the guy did in his tutorial was he used masking tape to cover the edges. So that's what I'm gonna do. So basically, anything that's not what you want red, put masking tape over. I'm probably gonna have to do this part off camera because I cannot do this one-handed. But I'll be back in just a second. Okay, so now these are all wrapped up. Make sure to wrap the edges too, just in case, because you know, spray paint kind of has a mind of its own. So yeah, but these are all wrapped up. Make sure there are no gaps. I think it's looking good. It's very close to the edge. Yeah, and now we're back in spray paint mode. I did have to cut the round pieces of tape though, because they did not fit. Let's do this thing. Okay, so here's what they look like with the red paint. They're still a little wet, so I'm gonna be really careful with them. I took all the tape off now because I realized I live in the South and it's already really hot, even though it's only May. But I didn't want the tape melting to the foam in my hot garage. So anyways, here we are. I'm actually going to very gently take these inside to dry because they're drying a little tacky, I think, because of the humidity out here. So I'm just going to very gently place these somewhere safe. Okay, so now guys, it is experiment time. These are drying over here by themselves because they're not ready yet, but this bad boy and these bad boys are ready. And as you can see, I've already kind of tested things on here. Side note, also, please don't just randomly do this on your floor like I do. Maybe get a craft table, but I don't have space or money for one, so here we are. Anyways, what I have found is that this is okay for shiny stuff, the pearl powder. However, the graphite powder adds a little grit, a little grunge. I like it. I already did most of these, but I left one of the palm pieces undone so you can see the difference. Do you see? This one has the graphite powder on it and this one doesn't. It retains the shine, but it adds a little depth. I just think it looks really cool. Okay, so when I was painting the rest of the armor pieces, I didn't really explain what I was doing because I didn't really know what I was doing, but essentially we're just dry brushing all of the edges. What that means is you're gonna take a paintbrush, specifically I like using ones that have like really rough bristles, you know, not really a smooth one, so you get that kind of grit in there. and then dipping it in a little bit of paint, wiping the paint off so there's just a little bit left on it, and then you're just gonna kind of go over the edges like this here, just like grabbing the very edge of it so it kind of just leaves a little bit of paint there. I don't know if it's really coming through on camera right now, but yeah, that's kind of the process. And for the scratches, take a very, very thin brush and just paint them in with like silver or white or, you know, something like that. Okay, so this is kind of what I've got going so far. I will admit I am not the best painter. However, I think it's turning out okay. That's what I'm doing. I'm kind of experimenting with this, so I'm sorry it's not like super in-depth, but yeah, that's kind of the idea. That's kind of the process, if it makes any sense. So I think it's looking somewhat decent, right? Right? Okay. Anyways, for the scratches, what I found that I like the most so far is I go in with the itty bitty brush, the smooth brush, and I paint the whole thing silver, like the scratch right here, just paint it all in silver. Wait for that to dry, and then come back with an even itty bittier brush and a little less paint and just paint some more black right in the center, so that way you still get the edges, like, you know, like it's been hit, but you still get the depth and the shadow. The second layer of black just adds that depth and shadow back in, which I think looks pretty cool. IDK, maybe not the best, but like it's getting somewhere. Yes. I also did the dry brushing around where the little, I don't know what you call these little studs, the little stud things go. Yeah, and I think that really added a lot to it, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. What do we think? Not too shabby, I think. I think it's good enough to seal, so I'm gonna go ahead and take this down and put some sealant on it so it stays nice, so it stays like this. I also did some weathering on the little bolts. I don't know if these are supposed to like implicate metal, but I made them look like metal anyways. The one with a little scratch, I put some black and silver on there as well. Yeah, pretty much using the same technique, so I'm gonna go seal this bad boy. Yeah. So I'm gonna go seal this bad boy. So these I already sealed earlier. Oh, I forgot how bad the lighting in here is. So they should be done. They were also kind of my guinea pig to see how the sealant worked. And it worked great. So yeah, I think we're good to go and do all the other stuff as well. The stuff with the red spray paint is still drying. I mean, it's dry, but like it's not dry enough to like paint over yet. That might be a tomorrow project, mayhaps a tonight project, I don't know, we'll see where it's at. But basically, we are just going to take this sealant. I'm using the Rust-Oleum. I'm using a semi-gloss because I didn't want it to be matte, but I didn't want it to be ultra shiny, you know? Hence why I tested it on here first to see how the shine is, and I think it's good. I think it gives the right amount of luster. It's not too shiny, but it's also not matte, so I think it's good. Anyways, let's go ahead and seal this bad boy. Okay, so this is what I came up with for the other pieces. I did go ahead and do these while the other one was drying, the seal coat. Here's this one. I'm kind of mad at myself for putting that X on there, that X scratch mark, but you know what, there's nothing I can do about it now, it's there, whatever. My mistake is a little better, it's not terrible. I think this looks sick though, this cut right here. I think that looks pretty cool. But yeah, I basically just use the exact same technique, just brushing the edges with a very, very dry brush technique. Same thing up here. And for this, I like to focus on where the bolts are. And then here's the armband, literally the exact same thing. This was my guinea pig for the red though, because I didn't know how everything was gonna work. So this one has a little more graphite powder on it, which I did not use on this one. Well, I used a little bit. I used a little bit of graphite powder and it kind of gave it like a dirty look, which I actually kind of liked. Anyways, this one has a lot more. But as you can see, I was a little too heavy-handed, but you know. But I think the edges on this one look really cool. Anyways, let's go check on our sealant. Okay, so here it is with the sealant on. I think the semi-gloss was absolutely perfect. I did both the front and the back side. What I did learn when you're doing this, do the back side first because when I flipped it over and I put it down, it ripped up some of the paint and I had to go back and redo it. And now there's this little, I don't know if you can tell on camera, but there's this little textured piece here, which was not intentional, but you know what? It just makes it look a little more rugged and worn in, so we're gonna go with it. But yeah, do the back first. Now we can glue the red pieces on. I'm so excited! Okay, now we gotta do these though. Oh, and I also spray painted those little plastic bolts that I found. The big ones were actual metal, but the little ones were plastic and they were more gray than silver. Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and seal these bad boys now. Okay guys, here is the first finished piece. I'm excited. I think it looks pretty good. I think it turned out all right. I matched up the scratches here, so that looks really cool. Yeah, and the sealant did its job. It dried nice. It's not like sticky or tacky. Yeah. Beautiful. Now I have to work on the straps. So I may have to readjust, come back tomorrow and figure that out. But yeah. Woo! Now we just gotta wait on the other pieces. I'm so excited. It's turning out really well.
Okay, hi everyone. It is later in the night now. I took a break so I could just let these really kind of finish settling in with the lacquer and coat and all that. Next, I'm going to glue on all these itty bitty tiny bolts. Do you see that? They're so small. Which are gonna mostly go on this one because these ones you can see have tiny little bolt marks. I'm just gonna kind of cover those with these. I think it'll add some nice depth, some nice dimension. And then I have these big ones that are like actual metal. If I can hold this up. Yeah, isn't that cool? And it's gonna go on the bigger spots like here. And the kit I got with this did come with like bolts to use that you could put on here, but I think the metal ones are gonna look a little cooler. Maybe, I think so. But yeah, I'm trying to think if I should contact cement it or if I should hot glue it. My camera keeps going in and out of focus. It's quite annoying. I'm gonna deliberate in my head over what's best to use and then I'll let you know with the voiceover. Anyways, I'm gonna get started on this. Bye guys.
I used contact cement. Yay. 6 whole months later. Okay, hey guys, so it's like 6 months later, hence the Christmas tree, but I have really been procrastinating editing this video, so here it is now. But it came to my attention that I did not actually record any part of me adding the straps or even just literally showing you what it looks like, so that's what I'm doing now. Here, one sec, let me show you. Yeah, so I literally just put straps on it. This is just some pleather straps that I got off Amazon. That I sewed on there. They're not super pretty, but whatever. Put a buckle on there. I will say though that these little foam notches right here, they're super thin, super fragile, so be very careful with them if you do this method. I reinforce them with super glue. You can't really see it, but it's like all the way around the edges and like, yeah, lots of super glue on there, just to give it some added strength. Yeah, just straps. I punched some holes in them with a needle. These were not pretty. I was gonna redo them to make them look prettier, but honestly at this point I don't think it really matters. But yeah, this is this piece, and let me show you the other ones. This piece in particular, the armband, I did put elastic on it instead of the leather strap, just because even though my arm is really skinny, the bicep area is still the part that flexes the most, and I found that with the leather strap it just kept breaking off this piece here. Because it was moving around so much. Here you can see the reinforcement a little more. This is actually reinforced with both super glue and hot glue, so that bad boy ain't going anywhere. It's solid. And you can't really see it from the front. It's not that bad. So yeah, here's that one. Exact same thing with the elbow piece. It's literally just a leather strap. So yeah, here's what this looks like. Looks pretty cool. Let me go ahead and put all of this on so I can show you real quick. BRB. Okay, so here it is actually on my body. It looks so sick, guys. I'm in love with it. Look at it. It looks so freaking cool. And it looks like actual metal, kind of. I mean, maybe not that much, but it looks, I mean, I'd believe it. And here's the strap situation, which honestly also looks pretty cool. And I also did not film me making the gloves literally at all. I just super glued the pieces onto some black gloves. That's literally all I did. That's it. That's all she wrote, folks. It looks pretty fantastic. I'm happy with it. I like it. Very cool, very cool. Another project completed. Woo! Hey, what's up? It's a few weeks later. I got the final piece of the puzzle, which is the kit for the cuff on her other arm. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started on this. This is all I have left to do. I'm hoping it's not gonna take me that long. I don't think it will. I don't know how much I'm gonna talk over this because essentially I'm just doing the exact same stuff I did with the armor, with the contact cement and the heat gun. But I really just want to be done with it. So I don't know, we'll see. I'll lay these out for you though, and I'll show you all the pieces, and I'll link the kit I used as well below. Okay, so here are all the pieces that it came with. We have the base cuff, the part that goes over the base cuff, and then the third layer that goes over the layer of the base cuff. And then this is going to be some detailing. We will get into that. She also gave me some magnets and Velcro for it, which was really cool. And then some materia. It came with the yellow one, but I also requested 2 extra one from her site. So yeah, anyways, step 1, heat gun. We are going to heat this, and then this is gonna go around like this, like so. You'll see, we'll get there. Anyways, moving on. Okay, so I was speed running this thing, but basically I just did the same stuff, heat gun it, then I laid out all the magnets with all the sides that matched, and then I put the magnets in the cuff with the contact cement, which was work. And the magnets, I mean, they worked, but they weren't great. So I did add Velcro later. And then I put these 2 pieces together, the outer pieces, and then the other outer pieces that go on top of this piece, and they kind of go in like this. I split it up for you a little bit. It's a little confusing, but they kind of just like wrap inside. Yeah, like so. And then that top piece right there is gonna get attached to the top cuff, which I should show you here in a sec. Okay, this next part with the strips, I cut these out of their little thingies, by the way, is gonna be kind of confusing, and I don't really know what I'm supposed to do myself, so bear with me, I guess. We'll see. Let me see if I can figure this out. Hold on. Okay, so basically what I think is going on, so we have the magnets laid out, right? You're gonna put the contact cement in the, oh god, it's so dark. The shadows. Yeah, in these little holes right here. Right, and you want these to be the same, right? The same kinds of magnet, like the same ends, polar, I mean. Polars? Is that what you call them? I don't know. Positive or negative, whatever. Same ones on this one, right? Because they're gonna connect to these 2 strips here, which also have the 2 little circles on them, you see? I think if this fails, I mean, you know, I'll figure it out, but I think that's what's going on, so that's step 1 for those. Okay, so now the instructions say you're gonna take the Velcro that's like this shiny, like really rough side, not the soft side, because there's a soft side to this too. Not this side, this one. And also not the piece with the sticky part on it, not this one either, but the rough one, the scruffy one. On this piece, right, where you just put the magnets in, the one that's all connected, right, the thick one, you're gonna put contact cement on half of this, right? And then on the back side, where the magnets are, you're gonna stick it on like that. If that makes sense. Yeah? Okay, I'm gonna do that. Okay, so now that that is on there, we're gonna take the other Velcro piece, the one with the sticky side on the back, and also on the back of the strip, you're just gonna put it on here. So that way, when you fold it around, it just attaches like so. That's a really bad example, but you get the idea, right? I think, I hope. I'll show you in a sec. Okay, this is a weird part. So basically, I guess what the magnets are for, it's like another connection, right? So you're gonna take this, right, little strip, connect it with the magnet onto here. Actually, wait, hold on. Make sure this is closed, right? It's a cuff, okay? And then put the magnet on, and I guess this is just to conceal the opening there. And then we're gonna put contact cement on this in a second, but basically it's
just gonna go all the way around the edge like this, and then it's gonna come together like so. God, that's really hard to see. Like so, right? So it kind of covers up that edge, but then it also makes a new edge. I don't know, it's kind of weird, but whatever, we'll go with it. So basically, yeah, you just need contact cement on this outer third and this outer third, and then on the magnet side of this strip here, if that makes sense. Okay, but don't put the contact cement where the magnet is, okay, because that still needs to be able to come up and off. So I would say like from here, Jesus, from here down, okay? And same thing with the second strip, exact same thing for the top and the bottom, okay? So I'm gonna do that. I don't know how much I'm gonna get on camera, but we'll see. Okay, so it's not the cleanest, but here's kind of what we're working with. The magnets are kind of, I'm not gonna lie to you, but you know, they get the job done. As you can see, I'm not the best at this, but basically what it is, right, looks like this. You have the Velcro there, and then you have this side with the magnets here. So it kind of like, see if it's better from the side. So the Velcro goes on, right? And then the magnets are like a double secure layer to keep it on, if that makes sense, if that helps anybody. But these, like, the magnets don't stay. So I don't know. I'll have to figure that out. I don't know. I'll figure something out, maybe, eventually. IDK, I don't know what I'm doing.
Okay, so from what I gathered about how this thing works is you have the main base cuff, right? And then this outer cuff kind of slides over the top like that. And then you're gonna take that ring, that band, and then that's gonna go around your wrist like this instead of sliding on. And this piece connects literally just like on that little ledge right there. Contact cement that piece down, and then you're gonna have two pieces of the cuff.
Okay, so here is the cuff when it is on. I think it's looking pretty good. So now I'm just gonna go paint it. I don't know if I'm gonna show you the painting process again, because it's literally the exact same as the other arm piece. So just imagine I'm doing all of that again. And then once it's painted, I'm gonna put the little materia in. For these though, they're a little matte, and I wanna see if I can find a way to give them a little bit of shine. Haven't figured out how to do that yet, but we'll see. I'll keep you updated. Okay, it's really hard to tell on video, but all I did was add a layer of the semi-gloss on the materia, and I'm waiting on it to dry, so it might look a little different afterwards, but as you can see, this one does not have the spray paint, and it's still like matte, but this one looks like clear. I don't know, man. I really hope it dries that way, because it looks cool. But yeah, looks like a little gumdrop.
This is not important, but I think this thing just looks so wicked, all painted silver like this. Of course, there's masking tape over all the parts that need to stay black, just like I did with the other piece, but I just think this looks so cool. Am I crazy? I don't know, not important. Anyway, here's the other piece, it's just black. I'm gonna take the tape off now. I did also end up adding some lights to mine. This part is obviously optional, but if you want to, they're just micro LED lights that I punched some holes in the back of the foam and just run them through there. So yeah, that's that. It wasn't too difficult, but be careful with, you know, working with electricity. And that's kind of it, guys. If you watched this far, thank you, and I hope your armor turns out beautiful. If you haven't seen the skirt tutorial that I did for this cosplay as well, go check that out. That is up as well. This was a really fun project. First time making foam armor, and I'm really happy with how it came out. It was such a fun experience. I definitely want to do more foam props in the future. But yeah, let me know what you think. Hopefully it wasn't too confusing, and hopefully I helped you maybe a little bit, hopefully IDK. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching. Again, if you made it this far, wow, thank you. I didn't even want to edit this far, so thanks. Anyways, bye.